The Triumph 23 releasing in June, $160, is Saucony's higher drop, kind of more traditional trainer. It has a 37-27 stack height, so 10 millimeter drop. Its midsole is an expanded bead supercritical EVA PEBA blend, so this is a soft and kind of bouncy shoe. The big changes here are the drop in weight. A big 1.32 ounces, 38 grams in my US 8.5, so that puts it really right in daily trainer class. I took them out here for a couple runs on the New Hampshire seacoast, and I'm going to share my impressions from the run, ride, fit, and some comparisons. Stay tuned, please.
Hello everybody, Sam from Road Trail Run. Today we're going to take a look at the Saucony Triumph 23. It's Saucony's more kind of plush, bouncy daily trainer. It sees no kind of obvious changes from the 22, but most significantly, it drops 1.32 ounces or 38 grams in my US 8.5. So that's 9.3 ounces, 260 grams. So that really puts it in the daily trainer class. How did Saucony do it? I'm not really sure, trying to find out. But I think in part the outsole design is a big factor here, because they went to a more plate-like arrangement, and also you can see in the midfoot compared to the prior, and here's the prior, there is less rubber there. Don't worry about wear. Maybe a touch less stable, but I think that contributes to the big weight loss, and also to quite a bit of flexibility for a shoe that has 37 millimeters at the heel, 27 millimeters at the forefoot. Now you're going to say, oh, 10 millimeter drop. I really prefer something less. Well, when you have a soft foam, and this foam is a blend of EVA and PEBA, if you have a low drop, your heel is going to feel even lower than that, I think. And combined with the rear rubber coverage, I find the shoe has a really nice flow forward. I'm going to be taking them out on the roads, out to Newcastle, and give you impressions from the run and some comparisons. But this is a fun, bouncy shoe that's now at a very competitive weight. At 9.3 ounces, 263 grams, it's really in the hunt as a daily trainer, whereas before at 10.5 and above, it was sort of a plotter, and that's really felt on the run. Now, in terms of the platform, and we'll get to the upper in a sec, the platform remains pretty much the same as before. We've got a really quite broad 95 millimeter heel, a relatively narrow 75 millimeter midfoot, and a big broad 120 millimeters up front. So that contributes, that narrower midfoot, to the kind of feeling of agility. The 22 had something very similar. The upper, well, when I first saw this shoe, and I see a lot of shoes, I said, this shoe was made in Indonesia. Then I looked at the label, and yes, it is. And primarily because of the upper. I often see these kinds of uppers on shoes from Indonesia. They're really good uppers. They fit well. A lot of the Adidas Supernova are made in Indonesia, but they're not particularly fancy. This one fits really well. It fits true to size. You see we have a nice toe bumper that to kind of hold you, because this mesh is quite stretchy, but this isn't one of those stretchier kind of mesh uppers that doesn't hold your foot well. So it's a good balance. Another big change in terms of the upper is now the more elf-like heel Achilles hold, and I like how they put sort of the top as a separate unit with more flexibility, whereas, and then they've got a good solid heel counter. Here's a picture of the 22's collar. We had a very kind of plush, soft, lower heel kind of Achilles construction. It was fine. It held well. It was more friendly than the 21s, but I think this one's a bit better. You can see the padding is not ridiculously soft. This is, with this kind of upper, we're really well held. We also have a gusset tongue, a moderately puffy tongue, not super puffy, but gets thinner towards here. Lace up has been good all around. I have a narrower to medium foot. I think this one will fit not only the kind of narrow foot, but somewhat broad. I think they'll also be available in wide. So at $160, it's Saucony's kind of plusher daily trainer. And now with its lighter weight, it's a real contender. Not just a recovery shoe. If you like a soft and bouncy ride, you'll hear more commentary from the run. I think it could use a touch more response off the front. It's not bad, but you know, you've got a lot of soft foam here. The PEBA EVA blend, that hasn't changed from before, but I think it's a snappier shoe. So I'm taking them out for the run in beautiful Newcastle. Stay tuned for more commentary and some comparisons. Okay, headed over the bridge into Newcastle. Got some lobster boats, the naval shipyard, the former U.S. naval prison over there. Now, let's talk about some impressions of the ride here of our Triumph 23. First thing you notice is that it's soft, bouncy, but also springy. And I think the springy comes from the PEBA component. We've lost an ounce, 1.3 ounces, 38 grams in my US 8.5. That may come some from the outsole, but it may come from a lighter foam. Compared to the prior one, the turnover is a lot quicker here, even though the stack height doesn't change, 37.27. But with less rubber at the midfoot, we also get more flexibility. So a brief comment about soft and drop. This is a 10 millimeter drop shoe, and before you tune out, when you get a soft foam, you need drop, I think, and flexibility. Otherwise, with a soft foam, you're going to sink in at the heel. It's going to feel mushy and back-weighted. Here, not so. We roll very nicely forward. Now, mind you, this isn't a speed type shoe. You got the Endorphin Speed 5. We're going to be reviewing soon the Tempest from Saucony. But even though it's a little bit higher drop and stack than the Ride 18 with its regular PWRRUN plus foam, here we have the PB, the supercritical PB. I'm preferring this one to the Ride. So let's talk about the fit in the upper. No question, true to size fit. I believe there'll be wides as well. You can see where my toe is right here. Nice thumb. The mesh is quite thick, quite dense. It's not particularly warm right now, but warm enough, and I think this is going to be a fairly warm shoe. Lace up is really good, as it often is with Saucony. I just lace them up and go. You can see the tongue is quite thick and puffy, but not ridiculously so. Gets thinner down in here, has aeration holes that are well needed. We do have that gusset, and we have the elf at the rear. We've got a very, very solid heel counter. So even though this is a neutral shoe, if you thought the guide gave you a bit too much guidance, this is an option. Understanding that there's less midfoot rubber, so this is more flexible now than before. The upper, I don't know, at 160, the balance of supercritical foam and upper, sometimes there are a few compromises. I think it could be thinner, certainly not very elaborate. I don't really care about that, more about the fit, but thinner, maybe a touch more breathable, but it's certainly a fine upper. Sorry about the garbage truck. Flowers are getting out. This is the oldest house in New Hampshire here. 1647. They're working on it, so the sign is down. Coming to the mouth of the harbor here. Gonna give you some more impressions. The small building on the left you can see is the Wood Island Life Saving Station, recently restored, and that's Portsmouth Harbor Light. So, a few comparisons from the beach. So first up, the Ride from Saucony. Slightly lower drop, PWRRUN beaded foam, which is not a supercritical as this is. I'm preferring this one, no question. There's not much of a weight difference. This is a livelier, bouncier ride. A lot of shoes are going higher stack than this, 37.27 here. So something like the Vomero 18, a little more stable, a little more reactive, not as much fun, a bit faster maybe, daily trainer with a bit more cushion. Over in New Balance, not really a fan of fresh foam, kind of not as lively as what we have here. So things like the 1080, although the Balos is pretty close. Then over at Asics, we've got Cumulus 27, I think is a very close comparison, more so than the Nimbus, which is super high, as well as the lighter and yet higher Super Blast 2, which is not a flexible shoe. Neither really is the Nimbus. So it depends if you want some kind of old school traditional flex in your trainer. This one delivers. It's kind of one of the few that still does that, and I kind of like it. Well, I'm going to keep going. There's something out there, a mast. Maybe it's a ship that's anchored. And here we are, mouth of Portsmouth Harbor, lighthouse in the fort. Giant ships come in through here. And I saw this morning the 4 tugboats are ready to take them. And soon it'll be real beach weather, but this is great running weather. So the combination of the energetic, bouncy plus springy foam, the outsole design with the flexibility, the upper delivers a really practical soft shoe. I find a lot of them over kind of mushy, back weighted. Here at just about any pace, I'm feeling good. And they're fun. This is a fun shoe. So I think Saucony's really done something good here. That 10 millimeter drop sure helps in this kind of shoe. Because if it was 4 with this foam, you'd be 0 or lower. Anyway, running a little bit of dirt road out here in Newcastle, just a short segment. One of the last dirt roads around. So if you're a fan of lobsters, these traps are about ready to go in the water. And if you're a fan of basketball, this little school here is where Duncan Robinson of the Miami Heat went to elementary school. He's from Newcastle out here. So who's the shoe for? Well, I think the Triumph 23 is certainly a daily trainer for those who like a soft ride that won't get them bogged down. It's not the fastest shoe out there, but it's very, very kind of forgiving and fun. Lots of energy. Much improved, I think, over the earlier version, as it's so much lighter and maybe the foam's a bit different. For the runner who's looking for a recovery run type shoe, pretty much ideal, I think, at least for me, for that kind of use. And you can range over to daily training with them. So all around, it's an all-arounder. Well done, Saucony.
So the Saucony Triumph 23 will be available in June for $160. It's a well-balanced, softer riding shoe that weighs a very reasonable 9.3 ounces in my US 8.5. It has plenty of outsole rubber and traction. Its upper is soft and friendly, if a bit simple, but it works just fine. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great run.